All right, season 4 finale is here. Thank you so incredibly much. Who knew we'd be doing this 4 years? Rocking it out, although I said it is a goal for the rest of my life to serve, support, take care of you, rock it with you, go after it. Hope we've been doing a good job there for you. Gotta tell you, it's a great morning here at beautiful sunny Florida, here in the studio in the sky, bringing the joy with some delicious, freshly brewed coffee. Just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on this journey with you. As you know, as of the recording of this, I'll be turning 50 soon. And today's trainings are all about reflection and improvement for me. And I figured I'd take you along with the journey. I was going to do a certain training next session on the business piece, and I've decided to throw that in the air to do one that I was going to do in next season, the very first training. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be a great visualization exercise for how I want to serve throughout my 50s. And it's going to be, without giving too much away, I'll just leave it at that. We're going to do a visualization to really crush that. Does that all make sense? I hope you like it. I'm going to challenge you to get out your colored markers. If you have 11 by 17 paper, or, whatever that is, a flip chart, if you have your own whiteboard, for this and for that, because we're going to be doing a lot of work here. First and foremost, today, it's all about really owning health, wealth, and happiness in our life. As we always start, season 4, it's been a consistent theme. We start with our 5 Ps. So we're going to go through those, and these are great guidelines for us to think through how to live a more vibrant, emotionally connected, life of zest, verve, love, happiness, connection with others. So let's jump in and go through the 5 Ps. Then we're going to dive right into the 22 ways. And some of this, if you've been with us, you've heard some of these things or seen a lot of these things, but now is the time, just like, and I love this sort of analogy. Even the most valuable players in sports still have to go through the basic moves. Brendan, our master coach in Certified High Performance Coaching, has shared Michael Jordan still went out and practiced the free throw, the layup, just to keep that unconscious competence, that muscle memory. A lot of that work is going to be done today here in our Health, Wealth, and Happiness training. So get your sleeves rolled up. I'm going to do that myself. And let's get to work and rock it out. First P is purpose. Now, the way I look at that is it's through the lens of helping others somehow. And I typically have the 2 buckets: improving people's lives somehow, helping others grow their business somehow. And I'm blessed to be able to do both of those things for you, for others, for the world, rocking it out. So as we go through these, let's think of these things through the lens of review and improve. How can we improve purpose in the future? And I'm so excited to tell you that's what Business Internet Mastery Training is today. Really getting dialed in. Spent the last few days thinking things through. Lucas and I have been working on Create Success for Life. I redeveloped how we're going to integrate, how I'm going to go after that, launches that are coming up, all these things. I had to come through from the lens of, thanks to the boss babes, simplify to amplify. How can I simplify these things so that it's not too complicated, but it's a very clear progression path? So I cannot wait to share it. Even Lucas is going to learn some stuff today. And happy birthday to Lucas on this beautiful day. And my cousin Jonathan and my best friend John from high school. He's turning 50 today. Sending a shout out to all you. And I want to make sure you know I'm sending you tons of love, positive energy. And we're celebrating your life and the life you're going to live as you rock out the rest of this beautiful time on the planet. So let's get right into the second piece, which I hope you felt. Passion. How emotionally engaged and enthused have I been? So let's do it through this lens. For me, I'm going to do it through my 40s. Because if you remember my story, when I turned 40, I hadn't gotten into high performance just yet. It was coming, but it wasn't here yet. That was August 1st, 2011. I got into high performance at the very end of 2011. And that's when I first got introduced to Brendan through the Charge work and through his High Performance Academy online course. He had basically recorded a High Performance Academy event, made that available as an upsell. He called it the Charge edition of High Performance. And I watched that and was blown away. That was in early 2012. And then I went through my journey in 2012, lost all the weight, got it down to where I'm at today, less than 200, and then stayed there since then, keeping high performance top of mind and being passionate. High performance has helped me live with more passion, more energy, more enthusiasm. Does that all make sense? So if you have not been through high performance coaching, your job is to apply the applications below. Now we can get you into a group or one-on-one and help you out to build more energy, more consistent, joyful energy, more consistent engagement with others, presence, love, care, all these things are wrapped into it. So as I think about purpose and passion for the last decade, I feel like it all started a little low and then it just rose. So if I gave myself an overall rating on both these, and I'm going to write them up here for you, for the last decade, I'd say at an overall level, a 9 with purpose and a 9+ with passion. I have to keep in mind that first year was touch and go. Next up, positivity. And I'm just going to do all the P's and then we'll go back through them. Productivity, or productive, and profitable. So as we think about positivity and the joy, it kind of exudes from the passion, the emotional engagement, and enthusiasm. Over the last decade, I've been way more positive in the last 10 years than I've been in my previous, what would that be, 40, right? Just because it's been top of mind and I've been in high performance through that time. Does that make sense? You know, when you get that momentum and you keep it, that's where the magic's at. So I'm going to give myself a 9 here. And trust me, I've had my down days. I've had those days where I'm like, ugh. And you just get into a funk. Your mind is just not in a good place. Drink some more coffee. If you have your drink, take a sip. Hydrate, although this isn't really a hydration like water. This is a diuretic. But it's so good and it's a beautiful morning. Rocking it out with you. Positive, 9 for me for the last decade. How is it for you? If you want to participate, go ahead and share your ratings below as we go through these areas. And by the way, these are 5 bonus areas. These are not included in 22 ways to review and improve your life. But hey, you know what? We're going to go after it anyway. Productivity. How productive have you been? And I'm going to say that's going to be an 8 for the last decade. There's so much I've got done, but I got my bar set super high. And I feel like, you know, if I look back over the last decade, there was a lot of time lost, especially in the first part of it. But as I got into the last part, I got it dialed in. But I still have got to be more masterful with what we teach in high performance, time blocking, and going after time blocks, rocking that out. Whew. I'm getting good, but I got to be better. And that's sort of the kick. And I got the plan for it. Now it's time to put it in play. So often you can think of things, that's the intellectual side, and you're like, oh, but I got to make it real? Ah, that's going to be harmful and hurt. Next is profit, and I'm going to put that at an 8. There's a lot more that I could have done, as I taught in a previous session here, on the idea of those multiple revenue streams. Get some hydration here. And the idea of the time blocking into the profitable revenue streams. Got a little loosey-goosey on some of the revenue streams. And I'm firing a few new ones up, but just assuring that I'm in a kind of rhythm with time blocking in those profitable revenue streams. And that most of the revenue streams are here to help the world somehow. And even the ones that aren't directly, like I'm thinking of stocks and investing, I'm investing in things that are helping the world. So I guess that would include helping the world somehow. That's just my scene. Like I'm very keen on investing in things, dividends, stocks, so on, growth stocks, that have a underpinning, if you will, for helping the world be better somehow, and not hindering the world from being better somehow. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like you're wrapping purpose into investing, if you will. There's a company, I think it's called fundrise.com. And what they do is you can invest $5,000, $10,000 into their world. You get, I think, 10 to 15% back on average per year. And they go and invest in housing for people. And I think, you know, and they do a good job. They bring quality housing to people. I think that's kind of an idea here as we think about these things to improve as we go forward. And so just kind of laying out the land here as we think about ways to review our life and improve it. And I hope so far we've really helped. So that was a quick hit on the 5 Ps through the lens of the last decade and a couple ideas of what's going to move forward to improve. Cool? That ends the perspective part of our beautiful training here on our 12th session of season 4, our finale, if you will, of Health, Wealth, and Happiness Mastery. Let's go ahead and jump into the 7, 10, 5 areas, or 22 areas, 22 other areas to improve and review the quality of our life. The very first part is what I defined a few years back as my life assessment. So if you do not have your copy of it, you can go down here to bit.ly/mylifeassessment. That's all one word. If you're watching the replay, I'll make sure I have this in the replay, linked for you. But the idea is, this is the sheet we're going to walk through, and I'm going to actually fill it out as we go through it. And I'm going to read it to you. And I want to reflect on the previous decade and then reflect forward, or think about, the vision of the future as we go through this. So the assessment, the way I define this, I think this was back in 2015 or so is when I came up with the assessments and the online funnels that go with them in life, in business, and online, as a way to just measure, how we're doing in life, how we're doing in business, how we're doing online, as a sort of guideline for where we need to concentrate and what we need to go after. So the very first item is now. So if you got the sheet, if you're watching the replay, you download it. If you want to go and grab it, you can. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to rate it, and we're just going to roll through these things together, and we're talking about stories and illustrations too. Hope to keep you edutained as we rock and roll. So the very first item out of 7, now. I am where I thought I'd be at this point in my life. Overall, I'm living into the best version of myself for me, for those I love and care about, and the world. And I've given myself an 8 there. So let me go ahead and pop that 8. And here's what's going on. We've got a lot of life showing up, as some of you know. A lot of the business side of life, and then life showing up in my life right now. So I'm taking care of things in priority as we're rolling through that. Finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel on some of these things. I won't get into too much detail just for timing, but the idea is that I can be better and do better, and I'm on that. And that's a big part of the next month for me, but also the next year and the next decade. Second, my best self. Overall, I'm feeling healthy, happy, and energized. My energy levels are consistent throughout the day. I even sustain into the evenings. And my energy even sustains into the evenings until I start to wind down for bed. And what we're looking for here is the high performance conversation about consistent energy. Not this. Like the old days for me. I don't know that this happened at the beginning of my 40th year before I got in high performance. I think it was happening where I was sugar rush, crash. Now, very sustained energy because I'm very careful about what I'm eating. And I'm also incredibly careful wearing the Oura ring, and we'll talk about this, about sleep. And I didn't realize how important. I kind of knew. It's kind of obvious. You need sleep. I didn't realize how important it was to get consistent sleep. So my best self, overall, I'm giving myself a 9 there. Overall, I do feel healthy and happy and energized. My energy levels are consistent throughout the day. I will put I'll scan this, and I'll put this in the replay as well, just so you have a frame of reference of me filling this out. Just coming on the edge, coming on the cusp of turning 50 here in a couple weeks. Next is my relationships. I worked diligently to create, build, and maintain great relationships with those around me. I feel I'm a good role model for my loved ones, those close to me, and the world. I consistently listen well, show compassion for myself and others, and communicate my thoughts and feelings. Now that's a tall order, and I'm going to reread that because there's a lot here. My relationships. I work diligently to create, build, and maintain great relationships with those around me. I feel I'm a good role model for my loved ones, those close to me, and the world. I consistently listen well, show compassion for myself and others, and communicate my thoughts and feelings. And that I'm going to give an 8 to. There's a couple areas and specifics that I know I can dial that up. And I've been journaling on that and been doing a lot of deep thought about it, about how there's a behavioral rhythms, I'll call it, at play where I'm not as communicative in certain aspects with certain people of my life. And I think that they need that. I think that I can be better there. I'll leave it at that, but you kind of get the idea. There's certain behavioral rhythms. Like in coaching sometimes, people will say, hey, I'm doing well in all aspects of my life except with my mom. Because the moment I'm around her, we get into this rhythm we've had for years. And I got to bust that rhythm. And that's the kind of thing. It's not my mom that I'm thinking of here, because my mom and I communicate very well. But you get what I'm saying? So as we reflect on life and we look at the people in our life, what are the situations, the constructs, the people actually, that we need to break rhythms with, to be better communicators with, to be better co-creators with. You know, I love this theme, Teach It in High Performance. People support what they create. So what are we doing here to co-create and do great things together versus just live a life? Get some vibrance up in that. Next up is stress, overwhelm, and clarity. This is the fourth area. I have great stress management practices in my life. When I do get stressed, I know exactly what to do to reduce or remove it from my life. I typically do not feel overwhelmed or distracted because I have clarity of who I am and what I should be doing every day. It was a tall order again. I'm going to reread that, so take your notes and rock it out. I have great stress management practices in my life. When I do get stressed, I know exactly what to do to reduce or remove it from my life. I typically do not feel overwhelmed or distracted because I have clarity of who I am and what I should be doing every day. So often when people have extreme clarity, they have much less or no overwhelm and a lot less stress because they're so clear. They're like living a life of intention versus impulse. They're proactive versus reactive. So as I think back through the last decade and where I feel I'm at right now, So one of the best stress management practices is that when I feel like, and this is the way I equate it, when I feel like I'm too far in the trenches of a situation or I'm pulled into the of it, I need to get back to a big picture view. The easiest way for me to do that is to pop on my headphones and go for a run and listen to something soothing. Usually it's Lana Del Rey. If you know me, you know that's a huge part to my, I would call it my own mental and emotional, like counseling. My own mental and emotional stability is listening to her sing sensorially. I love her lyrics. Frank Sinatra is another one for me. But I go out in the park, which is right by my home office and the studio here, and I'm able to go out and really reduce stress, reset myself. Does that make sense? So my challenge for you is, do you have a way to reset yourself? And if you do, and you need it, do you do it? That's the tricky part. Because I remember thinking earlier, and like before high performance even, that if I needed to, I'll do that later, and I would just plow through it, and I'd be angry, and I wouldn't go out and take the break or just relax or just get away from the project. I would just try to, and I remember going downhill fast. So I'm going to say that's a 9 for me. That I am really clear about what I'm supposed to be doing every day. I have great stress management practices. If things get way out of whack, I go to the beach. I'm lucky I'd be able to do that. It's a dream of mine from before I moved down here to Florida in 2002, was to be like, if I get upset about anything, I'm going to the beach. So I do. Number 5, my career mission. The work I do in the world is meaningful to me. I believe I'm consistent about living in alignment with what the best use of me, my passions, and my talents are. I'm giving myself a 10. I'm on that, rocking it out. If by chance you aren't in alignment with, sometimes we equate this as like, oh, I got to go to work and I got to push myself to go. And it's a negative or neutral experience. And you're looking for options. There's a few trainings that we've done that help you think bigger about what's possible to do in the world to create income. And so often what people find is when they're outside of a negative or neutral team or a negative or neutral manager or boss or a negative or neutral job or whatever, they just feel like it's a drag and the people around them are a drag, is that they can go out today especially, and right now especially, there's so many people hiring. Try something new and just give it a go. Keeping in mind, as I always be proactive about it from the result of meeting your requirements, your break even, to assure you understand what it is you need to survive and that you're either equaling that or surpassing that with whatever job. To be responsible about that, but to go after it. If you're in that situation right now where you're just like, I feel like I have no options and I'm in a job that stinks, please reach out, let me know. I've got a couple trainings for you that I can direct you to, and we'll see what we can do to help you there. And number 6, my hobbies and passions. I know and understand the importance of having hobbies to help me continually connect with my creative and self-expressive side. I'm consistent about nurturing my hobbies and passions. I am on a few. I'm missing out on playing guitar quite a bit. I'm going to give myself a 7 there. So hobbies and passions are really critical because that gives us that creative outlet to really bring, and I like the way this seeps into our other things that we're responsible for, to bring in more creativity into our work, to bring in more creativity to our relationship. For some people, when they're doing their hobbies and passions, they're like, that's what my wife and I talk about. We go out and do our own things, and we do things together, and that's the core of our conversation. Otherwise, I feel like we'd have nothing to talk about if we weren't doing our own creatively expressive things. So just want to make sure we keep that in mind. And finally, my life's ambitions. Number 7, if I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. I lived a life where I paid attention to and taken action on my life's ambitions. At least once a year, I reevaluate my life's ambitions and schedule time for them. I'm going to say that again. Let this seep in. If I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. I've lived a life where I paid attention to and taken action on my life's ambitions. At least once a year, I reevaluate my life's ambitions and schedule time for them. So if you're unfamiliar with the language of life's ambitions, this is like bucket lists. These are the things that we just feel a certain drive, desire, goal to accomplish in life as we're moving through life. The highest performers are very clear. It's very, very clear on owning and reevaluating and thinking about them thoroughly, deeply, what they want to accomplish on this planet, while they have their health. We'll talk about that in a minute. While they have, the resources, the drive, the goal, the desire to go after it. And I'm very clear about it. And I got to tell you, yesterday I felt like I was going to die. I was running, made the mistake of running later in the day. I'm giving myself a 10 here. So there's a score. You got to do your tally on that. We'll do that in just a minute. Anyway, I'm running yesterday, and I'm like, it's a 5K day for me. Every other run is a 5K. And I'm like, oh, I made the mistake. I came out too late. It's middle of summer. I'm burning up. So I ran on trails that were in the shade. That helped a little bit. And I'm coming into probably the last quarter mile. And I just felt like I was going to die, like bad. And I'm just like, come on, man. If you were walking by me when I was running, you'd hear me say, come on, man. If somebody was around, they must have freaked out. And I did finish, but I was like not in a good place. But I was thinking as I finished, I was like, you know what? If I had just died from heat exhaustion or whatever it was, I'm good. I've got great content out there in the world, access points, the legacy's left. I'm good. I feel comfortable in the sense that I've done well for the first almost 50 years of my life. And now I have actual, what we call in high performance, like artifacts that I've created that people can grow from beyond me. A lot of the videos and so on my YouTube channel and in our courses and in our membership and so forth. So I just want to make sure we kind of paint the frame. That can get a little bit morbidish. But the idea here is that for the future, we're clear on what our life's ambitions are and that we're breaking them down and going after them and really making it a go. So that is the life assessment. There is a rating at the very bottom for you. So 17 is 34, 44, 54. 54 plus 7 is 61 out of 70. And that is in the good zone, which is awesome. And like I said, I will include this in the replay. I'll just scan this and I'll put my name and date on it and make sure that that's there for all of us in that regard. Next up, these are the 7 areas. And how do you feel about that? How do you feel? How did we do there? Was it helpful to walk through those areas to really sense, all right, I got to get my relationships dialed up. I got to get my energy in play. I got to go after reduction of stress, clarity, simplification of life. I got to thank Natalie and Danielle from the Boss Babes for this phrase. Simplify to amplify. Simplify to amplify. Everything since the end of May, I've been working on 50 and beyond for me. It's kind of like a living document. Part of it's up here, part of it's documented. And I'm just like, how can I simplify everything? And a big part of that we'll be talking about in our Zoom Roundtable today with Create Success for Life and how it integrates into the offers and so forth. But I hope the life assessment helped you dial things in a little bit. So with that being said, I'd love, if you're up for sharing, what are you committed to? What came out of the life assessment for you? What are you committed to? What is the next, month, year, 3 years, 5 years, and for me, decade look like through the lens of the life assessment? Anything there for you? Any changes? Any behavioral changes you need to make? Any behavioral changes you need support on? Whew, good stuff, huh? All right, now we're going to go through what I call the Wheel of Perspective. It's also my 10-day health, wealth, and happiness challenge. It's the way I answer people when they say, hey, Char, I saw you lost the weight. What'd you do? These 10 things, baby. The Wheel of Perspective. So I'll make sure I have the Wheel of Perspective available for you in the replay. If you go, I'm trying to think of how you can get to it. I think it's bit.ly/wheel, the number 4, the letter U, all lowercase. bit.ly/wheel for you. That may work, may not work. Nonetheless, we'll walk through it anyway. Just draw it out on a piece of paper and just rate yourself in these 10 areas. This pairs very well with the life assessment because these are much more tactical things. And I've put them right here for us. So as I think back through the last decade and review it, and then I aim to improve the quality of my life, here's a few things, and I'm going to give you some illustrations as we go through each of them. The first 4 is what I consider, I'm just going to draw them in right now for you, the critical 4. You've got to have these in play to live a more vibrant, happy life. Sleep, hydration, eating nutrient-rich, and exercise. And if I think back to a decade ago, my life is completely different. Like, if I would, just off the cuff, if I went to the day I turned 40 and rated these, that'd have been a 6. That would have been all over the place. Eating would have been maybe a 5. Exercise, back then, I was working out, wasn't running. So that would be like a 4. At 10 years ago exactly. So as I reflect back over the last decade, and especially a year ago when I got the Oura Ring, sleep has gone way up. Because I understand and understood at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012 is where I dialed in and trialed stepping away from being the night owl, into the morning guy. Where I said, you know what, for starting on Sunday, I'm going to give full dedication and try to go to sleep at 10 p.m., 10:30, get a full 8 hours. I'm going to try it for 4 days. That was Sunday night through Thursday. Felt so good, I said I'm going to continue it for another week. Truth be told, I never quit. I never went back to the night owl. That was in 2012, beginning of 2012. And that pivoted everything. Willpower was up. We all know, I don't know if you know, but I know that willpower goes up when you have your rest. You have your body's in a better place metabolically. You're really in a rhythm. And if you can keep that consistent, that's everything. So the Oura Ring has done a great job of helping me, A, assure that I'm in that rhythm, and B, like assure that when I'm sleeping, I'm getting a great sleep. It's measuring my deep sleep. It's measuring my light sleep and my REM sleep. And it's telling me where things are on or off. And unfortunately for me, I go to sleep fast. I think I've shared before. I'll share it with you now. I use release meditation to get to sleep fast. What is release meditation? It's where you just sit, and as soon as you recognize, all right, it's time to go to sleep, I release, 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 release. Just doing it is putting me into sleepy mode. Does that make sense? If you want more release meditation information, I'll make sure to link to that below. That's available. Brendan does 20 minutes with you on YouTube. I think that video's got like 2 or 3 million views. Walks you through release meditation as a practice as part of your day. I use it to go to sleep, and I do use it sometimes throughout the day as well. Sleep was everything. So now, if I was to rate where I'm at today with sleep, I would give myself a 9. There's always room to improve there. Hydration, I'm doing really well, although for some reason, sometimes I slack. Speaking of hydration, get your drinks out. Let's have some water. Cheers to you. Celebrating, rocking it. Eating nutrient rich, I'm going to give myself an 8. I have been doing pretty good there in the last, since COVID kicked in. I've been doing well. And then as COVID started to go, the isolation started to go away, getting a little more loosey-goosey, primarily because we realized there was a scarcity there. And but I'm still on the shakes and all that kind of stuff. But I'm back on assuring that I'm eating properly. I was eating a little too much carbs, basically is what's going on. Exercise, as I turned to prep to turn 50, my goal for this year, now we're halfway through the year as of the recording of this, was to assure I was running every other day, and I was running 2 miles one day, a 5K, which is 3.1 miles-ish on the other run. And I've been doing that. There's been a couple where I've had to move it one day out, and then I've moved it one day in as well. But exercise, I'm going to give myself a 9 on that. Probably could hit the gym a little bit more on the days that I'm not running. So that would be an area for improvement. These are the 4 critical areas. People have shared with me when they've dialed these things in for even 3 days. At that 3rd day, they're feeling like, they'll say things like, I'm feeling 100% better. I'm feeling so much better. Char, why didn't I do this before? You know, I coach so many people in high performance. I'm coaching like 25 people in high performance. Some are on a monthly schedule, some are on a bi-weekly schedule, some are every 3 weeks, some are every week. And when we get into this realm where they made that change for that and they assess, they're like, dude, I feel so much better. I'm living in these critical 4. So I'd love for you to think through and maybe think about, improving your life in the future. What's an area here or something you're committed to? Now, one of the techniques, I've shared this before, and I want to make sure you get this now too, is that sometimes it's best to take a month. I call that the 28-4-1 method, where we take 28 days as in a month, 4 weeks as in a month, and the month itself. If it's a big behavioral change, we make it the goal for the month. Does that make sense? It's sleep. Sleep is the goal this month. All I'm going to concentrate on changing behavioral is my sleep. If you feel like it doesn't have to be that big of a goal, you might move that to the week. So there's 4 weeks in the month. We can do sleep for 1 week and really own that. Keep that momentum as we go into week 2, but bring on hydration. All right, now I'm going to have a water bottle. I ordered it on Amazon. It's aluminum, whatever it is. I'm going to have it with me. I'm going to make sure I hydrate more often. Week 3, I'm just going to concentrate on eating nutrient rich. Eating more veggies, a little bit of fruit, lean proteins versus some of the beige foods, breads and so on, carbs. And I'm just going to see how I feel there. There's a great movie, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, where this guy he was overweight and he goes just on a full-blown juice cleanse with just veggies. And you can just see his body like lighten up like a flower, like just bloom like a flower through this journey. That was a movie I watched way before I got into high performance that really helped me understand the effect at a cellular level of eating nutrient rich. Does that help? Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Great movie, and I think it's on like Amazon and iTunes, and you can get it probably anywhere online. Then 4, exercise. And you don't have to, like if you're not exercising at all, it's not like, I got to go in the gym, work out for an hour. It's just get out and walk moderately. You aim for 10,000 steps a day. Maybe go in the gym and hit the big muscle groups. You might get a little trainer or go online or get an app. There's a couple of them that kind of show you the form to make sure you're doing the form right. It's not about the heaviness of the weights, it's about the form. And just assuring that you're working your body out right, A, so you don't damage yourself, and B, so that you're in rhythm for doing things properly. So the 4-week method is great. Try that. If you're like, sleep I can do, get in the rhythm of that in a week. Hydration, yeah, a week. Eating nutrient rich, that's going to be a month. Exercise, that's going to be a month. Cool, okay. So next week, start with sleep. Then the week after, hydration. Then the next month, you're going to go after eating nutrient rich. That's the goal. That's the focus. And if you need help there, let me know. And then exercise. And then to complete the 28-4-1. 1 is the month, 4 is the weeks, and then 28 days. So many people are like, I'm going to do a micro habit every day as part of the 28. So the micro habit today is to try a new exercise. I'm going to do 5 jumping jacks today. I'm going to do 5 kettlebell swings tomorrow. I'm going to do 5 burpees the next day. Just 5. Then these things happen fast. But that's every day I'm going to try a new thing and see what I like and rate myself on it. Does that make sense? I hope this helps because this is everything towards baby habits, getting into better feeling. Next, we have the next 3, which are bonus. It's like you get these things sorted, then you add these. It's like a whole nother level of passion, positivity, productivity, and I would even say purpose in life. So the first one is taking breaks. I never realized the importance of this, but I look back into my high school schedule, and every hour we did 15 minutes of class and a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we had a lunch break. We did 3 hours, a lunch break, and 3 hours. They get it from a productivity perspective. And I remember just bouncing through these classes, even though it was a 7-hour day-ish, or a 7-hour and a half day, because I think our lunch was 45 minutes, plus the, whatever it was. Breaks for everything. And all I had to do, through the lens of high-performance time blocking, was bring breaks in between the different time blocks. And I've shared with you before, but I'll share it with you now. One powerful break you can do in 10 minutes. The 4 things you can do is WMEI. What does that stand for? When you get done working, and you've set your timer, and you got a 10-minute break before you start your next work block, you get up and walk around. 3 minutes of walking. Walk around your office, walk outside, around the house, whatever it is. Around the building real quick. Then you, WM, listen to music for 3 minutes or meditate. The M can be music or meditate. I like to listen to music that just chills me out. It's like meditation. Or you can release meditate for 3 minutes. So we have 3 minutes of walking, 3 minutes of meditation. E, energize. What's that? That's probably a good place to put in those, micro habits. It could be 10 seconds or 30 seconds of you doing jumping jacks. And if you think about a jumping jack and you haven't done them, do a few of those. Your body's going to be like, what the? And you're going to fire up cardio, energize, get oxygenation. We teach in high performance breath scaling, which is where we purposefully bring more air in and out to oxygenate our body. And we also do bouncing in place. These are some ways to energize. And then for the last 30 seconds, we set intention. W, walk. M, music or meditate. E, energize. I, intention. We set intention for what we're going to do in the next time block. Okay, here's what I'm trying to produce in the next time block. If this time block goes well, here's the outcome that I've produced or the outputs that I've made. In the high performance part of the conversation is this part. Here's the feeling that I want to have as I'm doing it. Here's the feeling, the visualization of that feeling that I want to have. Oh, I don't really like this stuff, but I'm going to go in with a learn and a growth-based mindset. I don't like it, but I'm going to learn it. I'm going to make it the best I can. Just that little 30-second of intention changes the trajectory of that time block. Now imagine stacking that. Does that all make sense? It's just like, oh, the day that would have sucked is now better because we've set intention periodically throughout our day. So let me just bring this into a full swoop for you. A given day, if it has 5 50-minute time blocks, where it's full focus in those time blocks, and you've WMEI between them, is a completely different day than just trying to plow through tasks. Completely different. You like a submarine going through, your chunk, production, and you stop, come up to surface, put the periscope up, look around, take deep breath, energize, set intention, then you're back down and you're chunk working again. And it's so critical. I hope that helps for breaks. We spent a lot of time here, but it's really important that you understand how to get more vibrant zest and love, more health, wealth, and happiness in life. Wealth in the sense of mental, emotional, spiritual zest, wealth. Does that help? Whew, so gold. Happiness. I don't think we need to spend much time here because if you're doing what we just talked through, you're going to feel more joy. There's a lot of training in our libraries about focusing on the right people, being above the line, having boundaries set, assuring that you're building growth friends, those kind of things, all part of happiness. There's also the trifecta of happiness. It's part of our trainings previously, where you're learning something new, creating from what you've learned and sharing it with the world. So many people that I work with, that's the way they make money. They learn something new, they create from it a framework or a checklist or whatever it is, and then they share it with the world, including me. And that's a big part of that. Number 7 is finances. Is assuring, as we've taught in some of our previous work, that we're clear on what our break-even is, and that we're also clear on the way I like to think about it through the lens of profit, is that we're clear on what our break-even is. We've put money away every week, or every other week whenever we get paid, for fun and freedom. And we have fun, and we go out and adventure on a consistent basis. And then we're saving for the future as well as paying down debt. And it's like, there's more to financial mastery than that, but this is the essence of what's happening, is that we're taking care of our break-even and we know those numbers, and then we have fun and freedom fund, we'll call it, and then we're living into paying down debt and saving for the future too. And that's a big part of the financial piece here. So really owning that, very helpful for feeling health, wealth, and happiness in life, and to review and improve the quality of your life. So with these 3 green areas, I know we've covered a ton. Anything there for you that you really need to work on or think about or go after? What's showing up for you? You gonna try WMEI? You're gonna apply the 28-4-1 method? We got a whole training on that. What's going on? Share, I'd love to know. If you're like, Char, I need some help. Whoops, I need some help in a specific area. I'm gonna help you. And we probably got training on it. That's the beauty of this library that we've created. Going back through it, and I'm like developing fast track success paths. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call them yet, but 3 to 5 trainings that work together well, that help you gain major growth and in particular ambition. And I really love how that's going. All right, so that being said, let's get into the 3 blue areas. True high performance, baby. Number 8 is presence. Number 9, I'm just going to write them in, is purpose. And 10 is daily plan. So as you think about everything we've covered here, I hope you sense how these critical items can help build presence, engagement with others, less distraction. Somebody comes to you, it's like, hey, what do you need? Not, hey, and you're on your phone or a device. What's up? Feel the difference in the energy there? So as we assess where you're at now and how you've been doing for the last decade, for you it can be whatever it is, how present have you been overall with yourself, with those you love, care for, and serve, and the world? What's showing up for you there? And I didn't do the ratings on the others, so we're just going to knock all that out right now. With breaks, been living into breaks. I think I'm going to give myself a 7 here. I'm going to put it over here. Happiness, doing well there. Finances, 8. I know that I can do better with the things that we've covered in terms of time blocking and so forth. Presence, that's going to be an 8. Because I still have, and it's happened in the last week even, where I'm so in the strategy of what we're trying to accomplish, especially with CS for Life and with my other company, ISG, as we evolve them, as we work to actually go out into the world with some changes and some launches and some things like that. I've been thinking about that when I'm with others and these ideas come up. But I have a good practice. I'm like, hey, you know what? Just had an idea. Can you pause this conversation for a minute? I need to document this idea so I can be more present with you. So I've got that behavioral rhythm in, but I think I can still do a lot better there. So how have you been doing with presence? Big part of it is assuring you got these 4 dialed in. Because that fuels it. Feel it? Purpose. We've talked a lot about purpose up here. I'm going to give myself a 9. I'll just copy that over. And the essence of purpose is just whatever it is for you. What does it feel for you to live a purposeful life? So many people that I've coached, they're like, Char, it's not about me helping others so much, but it's about me taking care of my family. And I feel purposeful taking care of my family. A few people I've coached, Char, it's about me taking care of my garden and the world, animals. I have a person I'm coaching now, 5 years. It's amazing to think. We're in like 150 sessions in and 5 years. And she has 15 animals, 3 horses, dogs, all kinds of animals. And she's so purposeful when she's out feeding them. I keep thinking of the movie Ace Ventura where he's like, and all these animals and birds come and land on him and he's like, like that. Like, I feel like she's the female Ace Ventura because her animals love her and she loves them. Does that all make sense? Oh, it's so gold. But for her, that's purposeful. So it's not like for her serving other people as much, although she does that in her work a little bit. But for her level and measurement of purpose is taking care of her beautiful animals and the land she lives on. She's out west, on the West Coast. And finally, the daily plan. And we've talked a lot about the daily plan in terms of the 5 by 50 time blocks, but also set an intention for tomorrow's plan. Last night I was setting intention for today. As of the recording of this, July 10th. So today I had to own getting it rolling, being sure what I wanted to cover, the times, the responsibilities that I have, and making sure that we're getting everything dialed in, that I have all the information prepped for it, and crushing on these things. So I hope you're sensing how this all plays out and works from a daily plan perspective. Of course, there's the high performance planner right here, and that works out really well in terms of helping you bring feeling and intentionality into planning your days and your weeks and your months. Not just kind of bumbling around. I know I got these things to do, but really saying, all right, do I need to do these things? Can I delegate some of these things? Or can I just delete some of these things? If I was going to live my full life, I would be doing more of this and less of this. So that's a big part of the daily plan process. For me, the daily plan is what I live by. I'm going to give myself a 10 for the last, definitely for the last 9 years since getting into high performance. Right out of the gate, I was in a high performance master's course. This was 2012. And I learned about the one-page productivity plan, which is the tool we have for helping you manage and think through your day in advance. And that was a game changer for me. I made it my own. I did it in Evernote for a while, and I've moved everything to Apple Notes. Apple Notes is so much faster, and it's so great because I can draw on my iPad, and it automatically shows up in the note while I'm working on it over my computer. I can put it in my phone. It's available everywhere. It's smoking fast. Big part of why I love Apple Notes. That is the 10 critical areas. I hope you sense how important it is. Would love for you to take a moment and assess 1, 2, or 3 areas of change you're looking to make behaviorally. in the next month, in the next year, in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. And if you need help with that, go back to our training, 28-4-1 method. Talked a lot about time blocking throughout the day, giving you a lot of tools and insights as we've covered that. The last piece that I want to cover here, and then we'll go through the 3 power questions, is based on Bonnie Rare's book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And I've reflected on this a lot in our journey. But at the end of every year, I either reread my notes or I usually reread my notes and I reread an online, if you just search 5 Regrets of the Dying, you get an online blog post kind of thing, which goes through them all. And then I rate myself on each of them from the last year. Like, how well did I do here in these regrets? Am I falling off on these? Why not learn from people who've lived before, who've gone through their lives and said, dang it, if I had known then what I know now, and I saw how limited life was, how you're plugging along and all of a sudden something happens and you lose some health, or you have a terminal illness, here's the things that I would have done differently. Here's the things that I regret. So I want to make sure we spend some time here while we're bringing the joy, rocking out some of this delicious coffee. So good. Love coffee. I never used to, but I do now. The very first regret, am I living into my truth or true self? Or am I letting other people hinder who I really want to be? 10 years ago, it was so interesting as I think back, because I was doing a lot of journaling on this particular one recently. And 10 years ago, I was living into what I felt the identity others wanted me to be in a few big areas of life, like with my business. I was starting to feel like I didn't want to run a big team anymore. But that's what was expected of me. My true self wants to be the independent, entrepreneurial, spirited person going after it. And so over the last decade, instead of just like closing the business, I evolved the business so that they could be their own entrepreneurs and run their own businesses, which is the next step for them. Using the book, total side note, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, Why Most Small Businesses Fail and What to Do About It. The E-Myth Revisited, which talks about the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur if you're going to run a small business. This is the sort of 3 roles, or the tier up, if you will, for that. And I said, guys, you've either been a technician for me, a lot of them for 20 years, or a manager, or a combination thereof. Do you guys have any desires? We did this in 2013 and 14 to be an entrepreneur. Raise your hand. And most of them raised their hand. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's how this can roll, and here's how we can evolve this so you can be your own business, and then we can white label your services for our work, and you can have other customers too, if that's a desire for you. To which they were like, what? So it took about 2 years, and then finally we evolved that. 2015, big part of my team moved in their own business, and then I fueled them with clients, because the law says you can't just like move from employee to like your own business. You have to have your own clients too. So I helped them, and they were able to acquire clients outside of me, but they still served me, and they still do serve me. Like, this is 6 years later. And it was that evolution of it. But that was living my truth. Kind of a long story for this truth piece, because I wanted to assure that I was helping others grow, but I was reducing. I'd run teams for so long. Like, in today's world, it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to have a team for the work we do, because it's all about VAs and you fire people up per project and stuff like this. It gets complicated fast. But living my truth. So that's just an example of it. Am I living my true self? So I've been doing a lot of work on the simple life and living my truth. My question for you is, are you living your true life? Or are you sacrificing your true life because of other things you think others need of you, or other responsibilities you have that you may want to adjust or course correct? And this can get to be a tricky conversation quick. And if you need help, jump into our Zoom roundtable, or let me know. I probably got training for you on that. As you know, we got a massive library. So we'll try to help you sort out what that means. Definitely read the chapter in Ronnie's book on this particular regret. So many people she had interviewed on their way out of life said, I didn't live my true life. I let other people's, kind of dictate how I was going to live my life. Next up, am I working too hard? And boy, she said that showed up for her at the time when she was the palliative care, the hospice type nurse, essentially. She said that a lot of her clientele were from the day and age where the man was the breadwinner and then the woman was like the housewife, the homekeeper, the mom, stay-at-home mom kind of situation. And she said every one of her guys said, I miss so much of my family's and my children's upbringing and growth because I was working too hard. So a lot of people today that I work with, especially the younger generations, are like, I'm not working that hard. And there's so much opportunity to create income with leveraged income, we'll call it, membership sites and investing and stuff like that, that they don't have to work that hard. But I just want to make sure, now right now I'm in a heavy duty amount of work as we're prepping for CS for Life launches and as I'm really pivoting internet services groups, ways of service for our existing clients. So I'm in a deep dive, arm sleeves, sleeves up, trench kind of situation, but I see the light at the end of the tunnel for both. We're almost through both so that we're back into our rhythm and I've got people handling things and I've delegated appropriately. But I like to run it through me to set it up to assure that all the knowledge that I have here is put into play as we go into the next year, 3 years, 5 years for those we're blessed to serve. So right now I feel like I'm working too hard in the sense of how I want to be on a day-to-day basis, but I'm really working diligently to set a great foundation. So from the continuity perspective, it just rolls. Does that all make sense? I'm not letting myself stay in the work too hard space, have deadlines at play. So what is that for you? Are you living your truth? Are you working too hard? Do you need to reset yourself, take some time away, reimagine, re-envision, strategize, plan for the future? Plan for action. Anything there for you? So gold when you think about this. Am I expressing my true feelings? This was a huge, huge regret for so many people who lived a life of mediocrity. They didn't express their true feelings. Because they didn't express it, their bodies held bitterness, neutral negative energy, and that through time affected their health, their mental health, their physical health, their physiology, because they're carrying stuff. They just didn't communicate. Big premise of what we teach in high performance is, and it's so great, the tools we have, is how to communicate with others, but command positive energy and pause a conversation if it gets negative for too long. Call that the energy in the room. And I got to thank Brendan for sharing that with me in 2014. It changed everything for me along this particular regret. So the energy in the room, simply put, is this. Go in and go, hey, you know what? I got to talk to you about some stuff and I don't think you're going to like it. You might say that, you might not. And they're going to be like, what is it? And then you're like, okay, let's go into it. But let's set the rules of the game that we're going to stay in a positive place. And if we don't, we'll pause this and come back. That's the energy in the room. If it goes too negative for too long, you feel the energy? You feel what's going on here? I'm not okay with it. So let's pause this conversation. Let's think about options. And let's think about how we can handle this from the very best version of ourselves. And I'll call you later today, or we'll meet tomorrow for lunch, whatever it is, and we'll continue that conversation. Big part of the 5 regrets of the dying. Am I expressing my true feelings? So let's take a moment here for you. I'd love for you to take out a piece of paper or whatever you have out, maybe in notes. Who are people that you need to express your true feelings with? What needs to be said? How are you going to do that from a place of positive, loving, compassionate, empathetic energy? What are the questions you're going to ask? Remember the power of questions at play here. So many people be like, I got to talk to you. Other people are like, hey, you know what? Would it be okay if we talked for a little bit? There's a couple of things that have been on my mind that I want to talk through with you. It's completely different, same sort of outcome. Let's open up the dialogue. But you can feel the energy difference. So I just want you to think about how you're approaching those conversations. And yeah, I realize, we talked about this earlier, the rhythm of the relationship. I'm not going to my mom talking like that. She's going to think I'm high. I've heard that a few times. And I'm like, well, let's just try it. Let her think you're high. And just see how it goes and just step into that feeling and pause the conversation where the energy goes, where it usually goes. All right, I'll give it a try. Char, the next session. How did you do in the last week? Char, you wouldn't believe my mom and I. We went to a new place in our relationship. I brought different energy. She responded. I told her I don't want to be the old us. I want to be the new us. And here's what I want the new us to feel like and look like. And I shared that with her. That's the pivot. That's the awesomeness. And this number 4 is really critical. Am I staying in touch with my friends? My golden friendships? So many people on the way out of their life realized that I miss my friends. I need to be with them. I need them now. Bronnie shared that so often those friends were so alive they just couldn't be tracked down. I can't believe I let that relationship slide. We had so much fun bowling together. We had so much fun on our cookouts. We had so much fun with our card games. In Michigan, where I'm from, they would play euchre. It's a card game that's very popular in Michigan as a family kind of event. Uno, charades, whatever it is. I just miss the golden friendships. So as we reflect into our lives now, and we think about these regrets, expressing your true feelings, are you consciously scheduling time with your true friends to love, to help, to support, to continue to build great relationship with them? And who needs it? So take your notes out. Who's 5 people right now? You know what? I need to schedule lunch or an event or go out to the park with them and have a picnic or go to the lake or whatever that would be to have more fun with my friends. And then finally, am I letting myself be happy? So many people did not realize that happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice. And they didn't realize it. And we've talked a lot about that here. They would let other people or the perception of other people affect their happiness. So the challenge for you and for me is to think about as we go into our next year or next 5 years or next 10 years, if we're blessed to be here, is, am I going to let myself be happy? Under every circumstance. We have a certain number of breaths. We have a certain number of heartbeats before our body's going to be like, see ya, I've lived a full life. What'd you do with it? Just the biology of our beings. And in every one of those breaths and heartbeats, my goal for you, my dream for you is to have happiness, joy, love. Reduce judgment, reduce neutral negative energy, reduce control for, result, as we call it, and go after that. So, want to end our training with 3 power questions. And I use these on all of this. What did I get right in this particular area? Sleep. We could say in the last week, in the last month, in the last decade. And that comes from a place of gratitude, celebrating gratitude. Second, what did I get wrong and why? Here's what I got wrong with sleep. Didn't get my 8 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours or whatever it is you need. And why? Because I just got to stay up and I drink coffee too late and my body wouldn't go to rest. I didn't have a good shutdown evening routine. Number 3, what's going to change, how and when? You can see these 3 power questions. When you layer these into every one of these 22 areas, you can see you got a long, tall order of good things that you can do to behaviorally change for the better, to truly have health, wealth, and happiness, to review and improve the quality of your life, to go after it. I'm going to say those questions one more time and just pick an area and think through it as I say them. What did I get right here? What did I get wrong here and why? It comes from a place of accountability. What's going to change here, how and when? That comes from a place of action. So there's gratitude, accountability, and action in these questions. Helpful? This ends the training. We'll knock out our tactics, and we'll bring this beautiful season to a close. Thank you so much for being here with me, rocking it out, crushing it. Action, create your life scorecard. Create your own spreadsheet. I'm thinking of Patrick and so many of our spreadsheet people who are like, this is how I'm going to measure the success and quality of my life. Here's 22 ideas. Actually, it's 27 ideas if you think about these. Some of them overlap. But here's the idea. Here's what's important to me. And maybe it's just 5 areas or 1 area. I don't know what it is for you. But create your own life scorecard. If you're feeling, a kick, share it with me. I'd love to see your life scorecard. And if you want me to hold you accountable to it, and you're in our mastery community, part of what we can do. 2, schedule for weekly, monthly review, share and include others. So if you create your life scorecard and you go through and you rate yourself in these areas, let's just say every Sunday morning, share it with others, inspire others, help others. Does that make sense? It's like a ripple effect. And you may ask this question, hey, I created this life scorecard, and here's what it's done for me. Well, if you were to create a life scorecard, what would that look like for you? To live and they may be, especially people new to personal improvement, self-development, they're like, I don't understand what this is. Why are you doing it? And you're just like, because I want to feel better, be better, and do better. And if it's somebody close to you, you might say, for our relationship. Does that all make sense? Number 3, bonus, focus on your future with My Life Assessment. We did that work here. So you can go to bit.ly/mylifeassessment and grab it. And just make that part of your, if you want to make it part of your scoreboard, feel free. Print a few copies, or just copy, the titles now, relationships, stress, overwhelm, clarity. Copy those into your own scorecard and then just rate yourself on them. Is that helpful? Thank you so incredibly much for being here with me. Rocking out the last part. And I figured what a better way to end our season than to have a place, a sort of end of the chapter, end of the book, to review and improve the quality of your life. So that you can come back to this and be like, all right, it's time for me to do this. You may do it every month. You might do it every quarter. You might do it every year. Just rewatch the video, re-rate yourself, go through the power questions, and then crush it. Thank you so incredibly much. Sending you tons of positive, loving, healthy energy. And I wish that you have the best time for yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your team, and in the world ever. Take care. Bye. We rocked it. Woohoo! Yeah.